Alright guys, today we have a new contender for a Game Boy Advance SP type clone. This is the Anbernic RG35XX SP. We've seen a lot of devices from the 35XX model line from Anbernic, and I'm really excited about this one because I think the SP is one of the coolest Game Boys that there ever was. So here we go. Well, before we look at it, let's see what's in the box. Got a little manual. And it does come with a screen protector. Awesome, Type C, as we expect in the year 2025. And we have the device itself. I decided to go for this amazing clear red. I think it looks pretty great. Let me know in the comments what color you guys would get. But for me, I think this is a pretty cool option. So, just like right off the bat, the buttons, they feel pretty good. They're really clicky. That's kind of a preference, whether you like that or not. They are much more clicky than the Game Boy Advance is. But that's all right with me. So let's go ahead and turn this thing on. And while we wait for that, let's look around the sides. So we have a headphone jack. We have our SD card. This TF1 is where your operating system is going to go, as well as your games if you want. You can put additional games on the second SD card there. We have a reset button, our power button, our indicators. We have all 4 shoulder buttons. We have actually a little HDMI cable port. I'm not sure I would really be using this as a console with the TV, but it's an option if you wanted to play multiplayer. This device actually supports Bluetooth and Wi-Fi for connecting controllers and such. We have our Type C there, and just the volume buttons on the other side. I have heard a lot of people talking about the hinge and the quality of the hinge. I think it feels pretty good. I think that there was a revision, and this is one of the newer ones. Let's listen to that sound. Compared to this original. I actually would dare to say that the new one actually has better quality on that hinge sound, to me, personally. Anyway, let's get into this and see what we have going on inside the software. And as always, we don't support piracy, so I have my physical games here. Let's see, there's actually 2 ways to get into your emulators. I think that the game rooms is a simpler option with less settings. So I'm gonna go ahead and go into RA mode. Let's go ahead and start with Game Boy Advance because I think that's the target, obviously, for this form factor. So let's see, I have this Cars game right here. Let's play some Cars. Amazing. And by default, it does have these filters on the screen that make it look very similar to the original. But of course, this is a really nice IPS LCD display. And so you're not going to have the problems with the original where the display is pretty difficult to see. I just have an AGS001 here, so it has the front light, which is worse than the backlight model, but a lot better than the non-folding original Game Boy Advance that actually has no light at all. Like, I'm not really sure how that was a thing that far into the Game Boy's existence, but it was. Grew up playing this on PS2. I think that version had a little bit more graphics power to it. Alright. I will say, when the screen was showing a lot of black in the menu, I saw a little bit of light bleed, but anytime I have like a game on the screen, this thing looks fantastic. Much better than any Game Boy Advance model, short of modded ones, of course. Alright, I know you guys didn't come here to see me play Cars. Let's exit out of this. So, if you are in the RA mode, which is RetroArch, the menu is a little bit more complicated, but here we are, we can quit. And let's play, let's see, Super Mario 3, which for some reason is Super Mario Advance 4. These are all misnumbered on the actual Game Boy Advance versions of these original Mario games. Can someone please explain to me why they did that? If you know, let me know in the comments. But anyway, that's Mario Advance 4. And while that's loading up, let's put it in here in the original SP. Wow. Guys, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but the screen is not great. And that's with the backlight on. We can turn that off and you can barely even see it. I'm in a pretty well lit room. Now the one time that would be actually pretty good is if you want to go outside and play Game Boy. Having no backlight actually makes it pretty great for sunlight use. It's been a minute since I played this game. Yep, can you see how good I am at it? Anyway, this screen is, as fun as it is to play on original hardware, to put that cartridge in, to use the original controls, the screen is pretty terrible on the Game Boy Advance. Even on the front-lit version, the AGS001. On the other hand, this screen looks fantastic. And if you'll notice, when the Game Boy Advance games are up, they have this awesome little Game Boy Advance bezel that actually looks pretty cool. It looks seamless. It doesn't look like it's part of the screen to me. And we're dead. One more try. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite Mario game is. Alright, I'm super bad at this. Okay. Now, this is what's super cool is, of course, on a Game Boy Advance, you can only play Game Boy Advance games, or Game Boy and Game Boy Color games, which is pretty handy. But here, if we exit out to the menu, we can actually play a lot of games, up to PS1. So we're gonna play an NES game real quick. I have Mario Bros here. Of course, Duck Hunt won't work without a CRT and the zappers, but let's load it up. It's actually labeled FC for Famicom. That's what it was in Japan. Pretty quick load times. And I think that this is a pretty fun, by default it has this set up to have the scan lines and everything to make it look a little bit like a CRT. All right, we're almost there. And look at that, I failed completely. Rip. Okay, so that's NES. It looks great. Obviously, it's pretty easy to emulate this. You can do this on a $10 handheld from Walmart, as we've seen in the past. Check out that video, because that's pretty funny. Now, this is one I was kind of excited for, is DS. Of course, a lot of games you play on DS do require the bottom screen, but something like Super Mario Bros. Or let's do Mario Kart. This will actually work pretty well. So the way this works is you're able to switch with the L2 and R2 between whether or not you have the screens horizontal or vertical, or you can just do one at a time and use the other button to switch between which one. So I'm going to say while we're in the menu, I want to see both screens. But then once I'm inside the game, I'll just go ahead and full screen the top screen. And of course we have triggers and 4 buttons on the front. So playing this game will be no issue at all. All right. Then we can full screen it. All right. I know generally you don't want to play racing games with a D-pad, but Mario Kart DS honestly is a pretty awesome game. You spend a lot of time playing this, and you really don't need the bottom at all. I believe in this game it just shows the map below, so it's not super important. Anyway, while we play this, what do you guys think of $80 Mario Kart? Let me know in the comments, or maybe you're gonna put in your life savings to buy Mario Kart. All right, enough of that. The last thing we should look at, well, first of all, it does have these Pico games. Most of these are open source games, I think. Celeste is a pretty good one. But let's go ahead and see how this does playing PlayStation 1. But here we have Gran Turismo, one of the greatest of all time. Pretty good racing game. Oh, I forgot we are on PlayStation now. Different buttons game. It's feeling pretty smooth so far. Let's see if we can get a drift. Can you tell I'm really good at playing games? Most skilled gamer of all time. Honestly, I think this is playing basically flawlessly. If you think otherwise, let me know. Of course, different games are going to be more or less demanding. Comment below what game you want me to try on this device. I can go ahead and try it out and make a short about it on YouTube so that you can see the performance. But yeah, I think that's pretty good. So overall, I think that this device is pretty fantastic. This was something about $50 or $60 after shipping. Super good build quality, honestly. I think it's a little bit better than the original in terms of build quality, which is good because it's 25 years later. But it's also super cheap, especially if you want to play those Game Boy Advance games, those NES games, even the PS1 games, as long as you don't need a joystick for it. This is pretty great. Goodbye.